I just want to speak briefly to you about something which is actually part of the reason why we don't properly, to our problems. Part of the reason why we don't respond properly to our problems is because we are psychologized into seeing problems peculiarly besetting us as colorless, as what could happen to anyone. And the resultant effect of that is the rendering of the perpetrators of our problems unidentifiable, indetectable, and unopposable, unobjectionable. What you can't identify, you can't object to. What you can't identify or detect, you cannot oppose. So that is part of the problem. How we respond to the problem has become part of the problem. That's us. So I want to bring something to your attention, family. And that is the whole notion of the humanity melting pot as our struggle's objective. Why is it that any other people's struggle objective throughout human history has been them re-exacting their sovereignty? That has the color of culture and race. Because it has the element of exclusivity. A people who envision themselves independent and sovereign, that has an element of exclusivity, and I think that is a true test of liberation, freedom, and independence. Sovereignty is the test of all of that. If you claim you are free, you are independent, but you can't be sovereign, you cannot establish anything with institutional sovereignty, then you're not free. Then you're not independent. I mean, you failed the test. What does being sovereign mean? It means you feel, think, and live from your essence and develop systems through which to convey your life, housed by institutions, running bodies of knowledge that only you can validate and nobody else. Only you can accredit, but nobody else. That's sovereignty. That's sovereignty. That's sovereignty. That's not seeking accommodation within some body of Eurocentric knowledges, Eurocentric systems, Eurocentric laws, Eurocentric spiritual normative systems. No, that's not seeking accommodation, but that's exacting yourself or re-exacting yourself, because we are rising, we are coming back, we are resurrecting, we are coming back to life, we are ascending back to who we once were. So what is this saying? What is this saying? This is what this says, or this is what this is saying to you. Whoever tells you that in pursuit of our liberation as African people, we must not involve non-Africans, we must not involve our race enemies, and in the same breath, the same person who has just told you this tells you that the ultimate objective of our liberation struggle is non-racialism, you should run away. You should run for your life. You have just met a coon. You have just met a traitor. That's a traitor. That's a traitor. Why is it that we are the only people whose liberation struggle objective is being coaxed into the world of colorlessness? Why is it that we are the only people whose struggle objective is being assured of the love of the other? Why? Why is it that it's only us who are like that? Why? The Japanese engaged in their struggle for self-determination, in their struggle for sovereignty, in their struggle for independence, and the ultimate objective of their struggle was seeing themselves as Japanese, not seeing themselves as part of some colorless world, as part of some nondescript world construct. No. So this is us. We allow ourselves to get duped into these things. That's why, some of the liberation movements had here in South Africa, so-called South Africa, some of the liberation movements, ended up when they initially never had, they ended up adopting non-Africans as comrades, of course, sponsored resolutions. That's why you would have, I remember, back in the early 90s, I was a teenager. Some of the songs, so-called struggle songs that I used to hear would be Upi Slovo, meaning where is Slovo? This Slovo is Joe Slovo, this Russian, white man who came into South Africa and was instrumental in the formation of what was called the South African Communist Party, or Communist Party of South Africa initially. Now, what was called the Liberation Wing, or the Liberation Army of the Liberation Movement, the Popular Liberation Movement in the country, the ANC, Umkhonto Wesizwe. From this so-called struggle song, which translated means uphi Slovo, uslovo sahlatheni bafana, usajimisa majoni. This white man, I'm translating that now. This white man from Russia called Slovo, according to this so-called struggle song, he is in the bush getting the soldiers to run. Can we imagine black people, African people singing a song like that as a struggle song? Sing about some white guy who is in the bush. Uphi Slovo, where is Slovo? Uslovo sahlatheni bafana. Slovo is in the bush, boys. That's what it means. Usajimisa majoni. He is training the soldiers. Hey, one line, two line, bafana. He says one line, two line, boys. One line, two line, boys. This white man tells this predominantly black group called Umkhondo Wesizwe in exile, one line, two line bafana, getting them to run, getting them, to work out. This is the legacy of, where we are today, that was passed on. The legacy of discoloration. This was part of a psychological plot to have us desensitized to detecting and identifying who our race enemies are as African people. That's why you had, until Lembede, the ideological ancestor of the ANC Youth League, who founded the ANC Youth League, who was a Gaviite, on African nationalist principles, on black nationalist principles, and he was clear on his repudiation of foreign leadership in the struggle of African people, meaning leadership by those who are non-Africans. As part of the ideological foregrounding of ANC Youth League of Lembede, that was repudiated. If he lived long enough to form part of the Congress, Congolese, or the mother body, I do not know, I wonder what would have happened. The mother body that went to bed with white communists, or communists, whether white or black, with politics that evade the race problematic. They hated Lembede. Oh yes, they did. Anytime I can give you evidence, why the founding father of the ANC Youth League was hated by the communists, because he was on the race only. I don't want to say race first. He was on the race only politics. Race only philosophical paradigm, philosophical outlook. ANC Youth League never belonged to the ANC ideologically. It's a historical fact. Anyone who wants to dispute with me can declare their dispute. I am willing to go on debate. The ANC Youth League that you know today is so ahistoric. The original ANC Youth League was founded by Gaviites, by people who embraced the black nationalist philosophical outlook, the African nationalist philosophical outlook. You can't debate with me on that. You can't. If you want to falsify history, then declare that, so that we know. So that we know. Now, getting back to the problem statement that I made, in the beginning of this video, to say whoever tells you that in our struggle we don't involve non-Africans, but our struggle's objective is non-racialism, that's a coon. I apologize for that family. That's a coon. Now, if a person's envisioned destiny you don't agree with, surely the path that they get you to tread upon must be wrong. If you don't agree with their envisioned destiny, the path that they tread you upon must be wrong. The apologetic black consciousness movement of Steve Biko was coaxed also into that, was duped into that. We are exclusively black in terms of membership. Well, they had East Indians. Dr. Nchaupe Mukwape, who co-founded the Black Consciousness movement with Steve Biko, argued with Biko for the first 2 years on the question of East Indians. He argued against the involvement of East Indians in the struggle. He said that himself. But because Biko was the face of the movement and he was charismatic, Nchaupe Mukwape, who recruited Biko to form an exclusively black student formation, was outvoted. You had the Black Consciousness movement with East Indians. That's why even in the struggle gallery, they have East Indians as black struggle heroes. Yes, that's the truth. That's the truth. Leave emotions out of this. I'm simply stating historical facts here. I'm stating historical facts. If you want to falsify history, then you can make your argument, and I will know that you are all about falsifying history. We'll know what your motive is. Right. Sobukwe was also on the same trajectory. The ultimate objective of our struggle, of our liberation struggle, is non-racialism. Why is it that we are the only people who make that kind of stupid emphasis? Why is it that we are the only people who give reassurances to people who brutalize us? Why is it that we are the only people who give assurances to people who have the worst criminal record in the world? Why do we give them reassurances or assurances of coexistence on what rightfully belongs to us, on the land that we got dispossessed of? And there's also ancestral grief in the realm of those who have transitioned, of people who were hanged, who were beheaded for resisting against invasions. What are we to those souls? In our sloganeering, in our sterile and empty sloganeering, what are we to those souls? Most of whom We use their names. Well, I had promised that it was a brief, video, and I got, fired up. I got carried away, and my race, my family, my people. I apologize for that. This is just what I wanted to share. This is just what I wanted to share, and I wanted to understand you where I am coming from. Okay, I know in your apologetics you like saying no. But people must be understood within the context of the politics of their time. Yes, I understand people within the context of the politics of their time. If within the context of the politics of their time they had those blind spots must be pointed out so that they don't become our blind spots today. Who are our warrior ancestors? Who are our warrior ancestors? Can a spirit of a person while in the gap of flesh live to envision the destiny that you disagree with be your warrior ancestor? You can call me an agent, as many have called me such. I don't give a damn. I'm very true to history. All that I say, history is on the witness stand. You can't refute the testimony of history. If you want to go against history, then go against history. Then we will know what you're about and we'll question your sanity. We will question your sanity. So I'm done, family, and peace and love to you. Peace and black power. A baby Fahudi, a baby Tumi, Matla, Buhali, Impi on our enemies. Impi on our enemies. Impi on our enemies. Peace and love to you. Hotep. Black power.